Good morning, welcome to day 28 of the coronavirus diaries of Geriatric1944 lockdown time. And we move onwards and upwards. Yesterday I dealt with God. Today, let's deal with the devil. But before we go into the devil, let's take a look at how things are going. To me, it's fascinating, this sudden, huge scandal, which is about PPE, personal protection for the NHS staff and all that. Now, if you accept the media dialogue that this is a plague, killing millions, highly infectious, really dangerous to everybody, not just to a tiny percentage of people, then this hysteria about the personal protection element is absolutely true. Because then nurses, doctors, everybody working in hospitals, even cleaners, porters and so on, desperately need protection, and they need to change that protection constantly in order not to pass it on to others. If, on the other hand, like me, you reckon that this whole thing is a media con, that the media has inflated a trivial virus into being a global plague, which is killing millions, as opposed to my theory that it's a trivial virus, very nasty and very dangerous to a tiny percentage of people, rather like flu is, then this doesn't stand up at all. But of course the problem is, once you start accepting the original premise, like believing in God or the devil, you have to go down this path. You can't say, no, I'm terribly sorry, if I accept that this is a vile plague that is incredibly infectious, killing everybody. You have to then go down the route of where are the masks, where are the gowns, where are the gloves, and so on. If, on the other hand, you don't start from that basic premise, which in my opinion was media created, then you find yourself in a totally different situation. So the way you behave towards all these things then start coming into effect. And you then get into a situation where you bring in rules and laws and everything else that can absolutely do incredible damage, not just to the economy, but to the mental health and the physical health of people. I bet you, absolutely certainly, many more people will die as a result of the overreaction to this trivial virus than will die of the trivial virus. I urge you to take a look at Germany. Today, Germany has decided to start relaxing restrictions, as are other countries. Italy, Spain, various other places are now cutting back on the restrictions. If you look at Germany and you look at the amount of cases, because of course their testing is 1,000 times better than here in the UK, but still, you look at the amount of people who've got it, and then you look at the amount of people who've died, and in my opinion, again, the methodology is dodgy all over the world. So you can't tell. When Germany say 4,600 or whatever people have died of it, you don't know whether they're being very strict and saying only people who literally only died because of the coronavirus flu or whatever it is are counted as deaths from that. Or you look at the UK when you say that possibly anybody who had a heart attack and who happened to have COVID-19 at the time of the heart attack died as a result of coronavirus. So your figures will be completely different all over the world. Look at China, look at South Korea, Taiwan, look at the USA. The methodology is different, but the one thing they all say, basically, is this is a trivial virus which causes death only in a tiny, tiny percentage of cases, predominantly the aged and the very vulnerable, the elderly, those who are suffering from diabetes or heart problems or whatever, and then a small amount of people who are also caught by it, i.e., in my opinion, people who smoke, either now or did so in the past, or took pot or whatever, and may have weakened their lungs and allowed a gateway for the virus to come through. However you look at it, the success in Germany has been completely different to the success in the United Kingdom, with the amount of deaths really very small indeed compared to the amount of people who've got it. Well, again, you could say it's the methodology, but I reckon all over the world, if you look closely at it, it really isn't that serious. And if you look at the elements in the UK, it looks as though we may end up this time around with about 20,000 deaths. Well, that to me is sort of the average flu season deaths, way less than a bad flu season, which can be 50,000 deaths. And people have overreacted, and everything else they do, therefore, after that, has been an overreaction. It's all really the work of the devil. Well, if you believe in God and the devil, but I came up with a theory ages and ages ago about the sex abuse panic that struck. And it started striking, obviously, 20 years ago. And I was a very early victim of it. And it went on, especially being boosted after the Jimmy Savile scandal, which again was complete media overreaction. And at the time, I wrote a song, which I think I'd like to play to you, called Satan's Ultimate Weapon of Mass Destruction. You can see it on YouTube, where it's had thousands and thousands of views over the time, but it puts across my point that it is noticeable that the panic over sex abuse, which the media adored and was very much a weapon of Satan, or if anything was constructing it, but if you look at all the sex abuse allegations, generally it was mainly people who do good in the world. Priests and vicars and doctors and care home workers and foster parents and teachers and all the people who want to look after young people. Well, they were the one who were ensnared in this. Yes, there were a few others like disc jockeys and old pop stars also caught up in it, but they provide entertainment for people too. And none of the areas that are mainly and predominantly hooked into it are areas that you would say were working for the devil rather than God. God, or the God concept, is meant to be something that looks after people. Well, look at the Cardinal George Pell drama. What has now clearly become through is that George Pell was a victim of the evil people in the Vatican who have control over all the finances, who are being looked into by George Pell and who wanted to cut this down very quickly. And they looked around and what is the obvious way to do it? Well, even then, the obvious way was sex abuse allegations, and they got him. Luckily, they didn't completely get him because the final absolute Supreme Court ruling found him totally 100% innocent. My hope is, and the poor old guy is now 78 or something, which is quite elderly, so the 75-year-old, my hope is that he'll actually shake it all off and go, screw you, I'm coming back to the Vatican, I'm going to get back to looking at the finances. I think the Pope is on his side, and he can find out and destroy the evil people who've been doing all this. Anyway, see what you think of my little song, recorded 10, 15 years ago, Satan's Ultimate Weapons of Mass Destruction. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for attending my annual talk on policy and spending. Tonight I unveil Lucifer's new tools for ridding the world of this species of fools. Children will seduce their souls and empty their hearts. We'll create an army of poison darts. By removing caring and loving and learning, we'll turn them into zombies of hatred and yearning. They'll become adults so empty and shallow that wombs will turn sterile and fields remain fallow. Deploy them, destroy them, forget the Black Plague, AIDS and host of diseases. This is more effective and kills all it seizes. It sucks out humanity, sowing depravity. It vacuums gravity and nurtures insanity. You won't believe the power so strong in persuading the young that love is wrong. We'll create a sin of affection. We'll make them empty husks with our direction. We'll stamp them underfoot with our subjection. We'll pretend it's protection and ban the very mention of the word erection. Teachers, foster parents, doctors, priests, everyone who cares most and hates the very least, will turn them into monsters, depict them as beasts, strip down their reputations, eat them at our feasts. The noblest professions debased, refugees for the confused erased. This is brilliant! Devastation, annihilation, the final ending of humanity, the lethal blow to God's mad vanity. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you my excellent production, Satan's ultimate weapon of mass distraction.
Und die Bewegung den Lebensausdruck unseres Volkes. Damit ein Symbol des Ewigen. Es lebe die nationalsozialistische Bewegung. Es lebe Deutschland!